welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna go out and ride my Rocky Mountain Instinct 30. This is a new bike I just bought, and I only got one ride on it before I went to Boston. And when I did ride it, I had this adjusted to be in its steepest setting. And I did a little more research on this to try to figure out what best setting I want to try, and neutral would be in the center. So if you look at this is in the upper right corner. So position 1 is down here in the lower left. That's its slackest and most progressive. And then if you start going up, that's position 2, position 3, and then you start down at the bottom in the center. 4, 5 is neutral in the middle, which is not where this is at, even though it might be a little deceiving if you look at these pieces. And then up top would be 6, and then 7 is down there, 8 would be centered here, and then 9, which is the position it's in right now. So as you progress through it, the head angle gets steeper, seat angle gets a little steeper, I believe. I don't know, I'll have to double check that. But actually I think the seat angle gets slacker. But anyway, we'll figure that all out. But what I want to know is I want the suspension to be more progressive, because I feel like it's just too soft all the way down. And so the more you go this direction, the suspension becomes more progressive. The more you go that direction, the least progressive it comes. And what progressive means is that it ramps up and becomes stiffer faster. So it'll be soft at the top, but then get really firm as it goes down in the travel. That's what progressive means. Least progressive means it's softer throughout the entire travel. Now it still gets progressive even in the current setting, but when it's over here, it's going to be the most progressive. So I'm going to try position 3 today and see what I like. It won't be in the slackest setting. I don't really like 65-degree head angle. I want it a little bit steeper than that. So I don't remember what head angle this is. I want to say it's like 65.7 or something like that, or 0.6. So yeah, I'm gonna change this up. Got my torque wrench in here and Allen wrench, and then once I change it, I'll show you the position it's in. First part of this video, and kind of laughing at the fact that I don't always remember the names and models of the bikes I have, maybe because I have too many bikes, so I had to like think about it. I had this big pause. Anyway, so the Ride 9 adjustment system, which is Rocky Mountain system, I moved this over to that corner. So that's position 3. And so you have 2 of these blocks. So this is the first time I've messed with this. So there's the bigger one and then the smaller one, and you can just rotate them within each other. And then you have to make sure the other side is just like this. And then you have to make sure you use a torque wrench to, I want to say it was 8 Newton meters on that. So pretty tight. And now I want to check my sag on here. So that's next. So I just checked my sag, and it is close to 30. I think I'm going to put just a tiny bit more air in there. I like my sag at about 25, but this is about right, you know, somewhere between 25 and 30, but I like it a little stiffer. Cool. Okay, so now I'm putting air pressure in. So I check my pressure before each ride. I generally put 24, 25 in the rear and around 21, 22 in the front. I like the front a little softer because that's where I want my traction. Plus weight is, you know, if you look at the bike, weight's going to be a little more towards the rear, especially while seated, than towards the front. So a little more pressure, and then it ends up being a little more equal, if that makes any sense. But yeah, most people do that. They put a few pounds less in the front to give a little bit more softer tire and traction. Also, the front tire on this particular bike is a little bit bigger. The rear is a 2.4 and the front is a 2.5. And as you go to a bigger volume tire, it takes less pressure to make it firm. Someday I'll talk about that, because when you go to fat bikes where it's more noticeable, you go to 10 to 12 psi and the tires are almost rock hard. So yeah, there's something to do with volume that I'll have to talk about in some other video. Anyway, this bike is all set to go ride, so let's go ride it. So I'm at Theater Worth on the Area 36 trails. These are the part of the Loppet Foundation trails. And yeah, after not riding for a week and a half, I know I'm gonna have to take it easy and work my way up again. So trying out these new settings on the bike. We'll see how they work out. So in this setting, I can already tell the rear suspension is more progressive. I can also tell that the bottom bracket is a little lower because I've hit my pedals a couple times already. Nice. So the more progressive suspension is nice. I just have to be a bit more conscious of pedal strike in certain areas. Believe it or not, as popular as the Minion tires are, this is the first time I've ever owned a pair. And on a bike I have definitely ridden them on a few demo bikes and stuff, or other people's bikes. So, believe it, as popular as these tires are, kind of surprised this is the first time I've actually ridden them. Fun. So I'm going to take the tube. I haven't been on it in a while, so might be careful in case things have changed. There's a table. Nice. Another table. So the doubles, just pump roll through those. Oh, they've got a drop up there. I don't know how to get to that one. But that one was fun. Oh, fun. Those are kind of cool. Yeah. So this is the skills area. I can't remember which trail does what, but there's a tough up and over here. Oh, here it is. Up that. Nice. Yeah, I like this bike. Sweet. So, if you're wondering about whether things are gimmicky or not, because there's a lot of gimmicky things in the bicycling world, and definitely in the mountain bike world, this Ride 9 adjustment is not gimmicky. It actually does exactly what they say it will do. So I set this in position 3, and position 3 is pretty sweet so far. I'm liking it. I'm liking the more progressive rear shock. It definitely makes jumps and drops and stuff a lot nicer. And it's not too slack. I can definitely tell it's slack, especially on pavement. The bike kind of self-steers, versus when it's steeper, it doesn't like self-steer. But it's not that noticeable on the dirt and riding trails. And it's basically because you're rarely in a straight line. You're almost always in some form of turning or another, unless of course somebody designed a trail to be really straight. But most mountain bike trails are a little bit windy and curvy, so you don't really notice the self-steering when you're off-road. All right, let's take this. So now I'm in the north loop. This is the little short advanced dump loop section. And definitely when you're in the slacker setting, riding skinnies and stuff is a lot easier. All right, you've all seen this loop before, so I'm not going to film a bunch of it. Okay, now that I'm done with the north loop and riding that area 36, I can definitely feel the difference between the different ride settings. And you know, at the same time I'm comparing this bike from how my Ritmo AF rode. So the big question is did I make the right choice by getting rid of my Ritmo AF and buying this bike? And the answer to that is a resounding yes. This bike does pretty much everything better, especially for a rider that's my height. Riding a small, it's definitely the right choice. The manufacturer for this bike, Rocky Mountain, they say up to 5'6", and I'm 5'7". But if I go by the rad measurement, rider area distance, the medium, not only does it force me to have to go up to a 29-inch wheel, but it's too big for me according to the rad rider area distance measurement. So that Lee Likes Bikes video that I've been recently posting about the rad measurement is spot on about not going by the manufacturer's recommendations and going by the rad measurement instead. So there you have it. I'm much happier on this bike, even though some of the components is a downgrade. It's not enough of a downgrade to make this bike not better for me, if that makes any sense. And I really do like the Ride 9 adjustment ability, so I can fine tune it exactly how I want it. And I'm pretty sure if I went out west to Colorado and doing like Trestle Bike Park or such like I did last year, I'd set that setting in the slack setting, and this bike would be perfect. Whew. So I'm gonna finish off this ride, and then we'll talk a little bit before I end this video. Okay, so there was my second ride on the Rocky Mountain Instinct. This thing's pretty sweet. I really like it. A few things that I'm learning, and I'm learning them a lot faster than I learned things when I first got my Ripmo AF, because I'm a lot more experienced with full suspension and this style of bike than I was before. So it took me a lot longer on the Ripmo to get the bike dialed in for my needs, but this bike, it's not taking me as long. And one thing I'm learning already is that I probably need more air pressure. And I was watching a Sam Pilgrim video, and one of the things he talked about was when you're jumping and stuff, if you run like your kind of recommended trail air pressure for ideal traction and all of that, when you like kind of pump to jump and stuff, your tires will squish and kind of like wash out. It's like I felt like the bike was a little like wormy, and that was because my tire pressure was a little too low. So I'm gonna up my pressure on my next ride. I'm gonna just go with 30 in the rear and then probably like 28 or 27 in the front and see how that works. And then from there I will adjust. But yeah, that was the only thing on this ride that I noticed, is when I went to jump, it would get a little squirrely. Well, then when it does that, it would send me kind of funny in the air. Not every jump I did, but enough of them to make me realize my tires were kind of washing out. I believe these rims are 30, either 30 or 35. I'll have to look that up. Rim width does make a difference in how much flex your tire has and stuff like that. And so does tire size, all that stuff. So, cool. But all in all, super stoked. Really glad I got this bike. I'm already going to start replacing parts on this pretty soon. The first thing that I've already purchased, I'm just waiting for a new chain ring for it, is I have an XT crank. Then I'm going to replace the regular derailleur crank. So XT would be 2 component levels up from this. This is just regular derailleur. Then they have SLX, and then XT comes after that. But I think this crank will go nice on one of my other bikes. I'm actually thinking of that trials bike that I have. I might put this crank on it. And then the other thing I'm upgrading for absolutely sure are the brakes. I've already ordered those. I'm getting XT level 4-piston brakes. These are 4-piston, but the XT ones are much nicer, and they have a smaller, just a much better brake lever. But one of the things I do like about these is I'm thinking of putting these on my fat bike. So I might just literally take these bikes and put them on my fat bike, these brakes, and put them on my fat bike, because the larger lever will actually come in handy when I'm wearing gloves. And I wear those gloves that are like nanu. They're the 2-finger and 2-finger. So I think I'll like these levers better on my fat bike. So I'll probably just transfer these brakes to my fat bike and then put the XTs on here. The grips, I'm getting wolf tooth grips. I don't like these ergon grips at all. I don't like weird, oblong, strange feeling grips. But those are the parts I'm already going to start changing out. And I will definitely be updating the rear derailleur soon, probably to an XT. And maybe the cassette, we'll see. This shifts pretty good, but I know the XT stuff is just like bam, bam, bam. I mean, it's super sweet. I have a nicer derailleur on my Esker Hayduke, and I just love how they shift. So much nicer. So yeah, this bike's going to be getting upgrades right away. And then down the road, what I think I'll probably end up upgrading is the rear shock. Take a look. All the way to the end. I maxed that one out today. So I definitely think for what I do, I need a better shock. This one's okay, but it's not ideal. And I kind of think I'll get the same DVO shock that I had on my Ripmo AF. They're just not available right now. I went and looked, but when they become available, I'm gonna find out if that'll swap out, because I think that's a much better shock. Fork so far I'm okay with. Believe it or not, these are the what are they called? The 35 gold or something like that. RockShox 35 gold or something like that, and they're 35 stanchions. They're really plush. They ramp up really well. I haven't even put any volume spacers in or anything, and they feel really good. I do like the adjustment lever, so I might keep the forks for a while and not upgrade those for a little bit, but I'm definitely gonna upgrade this rear shock at some point. So there we go. I'm really glad I got this bike. Now I just gotta keep tweaking things and get it like perfect to my liking. Cool. Really appreciate your support from my channel. Peace.